Hi. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, the best part of Friday.
Best part of Friday is Love Club. Okay, so how are you doing today? I'm so happy to be here with you. You're one of my favorite people in the universe, and we're both going through a lot. So I'd really like to get really real, have a heart to heart, and discuss what we're going through because I know that what we're going through is a reflection of what the collective society is going through. So let's work on stuff. Let's let's make it all exciting and joyful and celebratory and also real. And
Let's do
that,
it.
that just made me think of something. I saw someone post something yesterday about toxic positivity.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I saw that too.
So I just tried to like catch myself just then. I was like, it is real. There's real stuff. It's painful. It's gross, but it's also beautiful and exciting and magical. So I just want to make sure that we are balanced in that discussion.
Absolutely. I am exhausted. I think, and you said it beautifully. We're both, going through, well, right before this, we were talking about the expansion that we're both going through, the evolution that we're having. And change, it's change. There are a lot of changes going on. This whole year has been full of change in terms of the pandemic. And we can look at it as change, and you can look at it as something that's out of your control, or what we were talking about is how we look at it as expansion. We're looking at this change, at this loss of control, as an opportunity to grow and expand. Like, everything is your teacher if you choose to look at it that way, especially difficult things. And for me, that helps me turn them around right now.
Right.
So for me, as I've talked about in other videos, I got divorced earlier this year. I, moved across country. I ended up coming back and living with my parents for the first time since college. And on my own financially for the first time, as embarrassing as that is to say. And just dealing with a lot, really facing a lot of my own bullshit. Totally. And happy to have the tools. And I've been working with a couple different people, one specifically a healer who's helping me around like trauma and, dealing with that said bullshit. And what I was talking to Allie about this a little bit last night was that I've been having a lot of interesting physical symptoms, and I have a very, very sensitive body. I have, tendencies towards autoimmune stuff. So I process the world and my feelings very much through my physical body. And ever since every week I go and I see this healer, and we do a lot of different things, and I face a lot of different sort of deep emotional stuff, and I'm ready for it. I'm doing it. And those, that's the work we do. But every week it's like either have a big emotional thing happen or like a physical thing. And this week it was feeling very physical. I was having like acid reflux and weird heartburn for no reason. And, I reached out to Allie and I was like, just, reflect back to me what's going on here, because I feel like I'm not like eating anything. Like, this does feel sort of stress related. Like, could this be me just like breaking through a lot of old patterns, me expanding beyond my comfort level? Because that's what's happening right now. It's like I'm building my business out. We're growing our business together. I'm stepping out into the world as an individual for the first time as an adult woman. Like, I was in that relationship for 10 years and we grew up together, and he, we took care of each other in different ways. And here I am out in the world. Well, not entirely because I'm living with my parents, but about to be out in the world sort of as this new version of myself. Yes, there's also a global pandemic going on and all this other stuff, but it's interesting to sort of have a moment of when you are expanding and growing, it sometimes hurts, like for people like me physically. And so that's been a really, really interesting thing to experience and to sort of stay in my head about. And that's been really, my meditation practice and my mindfulness practice has been really helpful, because part of me wants to panic. It's like, oh my God, what else is wrong with my body? What's going on? It's like, I think nothing. I think this is just an experience. And we'll talk about tools more later, but that's kind of where I'm coming from. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been experiencing?
I mean, that's just like such a cool level of awareness to be at, to be going through something that's anything that's like painful physically is a little bit scary. And for you to be able to sit back from that and like maintain your health coach state of mind with your own physical body, to be so aware and objective with what you're going through, is really powerful. So I'm going to want you to like go deeper on that and go deeper on the healer that you're working with and like what you're working on specifically to meet those root issues.
Well, and it's interesting because, and we were talking about this yesterday, because I'm sort of revamping my entire website. So I'm doing a lot of writing, and I was sharing that with Allie. And one of the things
It's really great
that keeps coming up for me is that, any sort of pain, sickness, illness, a lot of physical symptoms. People come to me with physical symptoms, extra weight, and what it is like a disconnection at some level from your physical self. There's a disconnection, and I think what's really hard is growth and evolution is difficult, and things get really messy and unclear. So I have a very strong intuition. I know how to listen to myself. I know how to navigate my body because of what I do and because of my history. And it's interesting to be in this growth phase where things are new and my body is responding in different ways and I'm having different kind of feelings, and I am feeling disconnected, because sometimes when you're growing, there is going to be a phase of disconnection because you're almost like outgrowing the skin, like a snake or something. So it's not always going to be so easy. It's not going to be predictable. Our bodies, our emotions, we're always growing and changing. So for me, being in this space is frustrating, because it's like, wait, I'm the expert on this stuff. I help other people do this. I can't show up not knowing this about myself. And I have to be like, calm down. This is you growing. This is you changing. This is you expanding. And you need to go through this sometimes too, which is really why I'm so grateful to have you and have this platform and have, chance to connect with you, because you have these tools and we're able to sort of, you can reflect back to me what's going on, or I can be like, am I overreacting, or is this, you know what I mean? And you can show up very objectively and tell me like, no, this is what's happening, which
that's why it's so important. And that's why we've created this platform to begin to allot a lot of people into this space, because we hold each other accountable. We are aligned, we are connected, we have the tools, we are aware when we're out of alignment, we can call our own selves out. And you and I have worked so hard on our own practice that we can now hold that space and just honestly reflect our gifts and our lights back to each other without needing to control or interject, because we just trust that the other person is very connected. And I just think that that's why it's going to be important. That's why we're doing this entire YouTube channel, is to be able to have everyone have a space to go to where you can have two people that are at an expert level also be really real and open and raw and vulnerable, that we're also humans, and this is how we do the work from the inside out, which is why your niche health coaching practice is so powerful, because you are starting from the inside out when you work with a client. And I think when you're coping with huge amounts of change, transformation, expansion, up-leveling, the most essential part of that journey to begin is connection to self. And I think that it's gotten a little bit mainstreamed and like, just be connected, like self-love, but it's like, what does it actually mean? And that's something I really want to talk about today, is like, how do you root into connecting with yourself? How do you and I do it? And how is it different? And how is it the same? I want people to walk away today knowing like they can start to have some awareness on how to do that.
Yeah.
Because it took us many years to learn how to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of what I'm going through, we've touched on this in the last couple episodes, but in the last 2 weeks, I did a 20-day sugar alcohol detox with you. So I had like a pristine channel. I was essentially a hermit for 3 weeks, just crushing through real estate school, got that done, starting creative direction consulting projects with huge hotel groups and arts districts to save the arts. So we have been busy. And in the meantime, I detoxed not only from sugar and alcohol, but a really negative pattern I had in relationship. And not to say that this person that I broke up with this summer, he's a great person. He's a wonderful person. And I think to be able to break up and do it with communication and kindness and love is a huge sign of growth. So if anyone's wanting to understand more about that, that's how breakups, we don't use the word should, but like that's an incredible experience to go through, because then you can learn how to love so unconditionally, because you are so connected to yourself and connected to this person might be your medicine, and what is forever. Like that's a choice. You know, we don't, this fairy tale thing, we kind of need to wind that down. Like we're really just in a present moment, always evolving, always growing and learning from each other. But in detoxing and breaking up with that person and then like going really deep and doing the work and really not seeing people and going to sleep at 9 p.m., waking up at 5:45, just like eating pure food that Liana helped coached me through. It was the most transformative thing I've been through in my adult life. And seriously though. And then the love thing started to come up, because a school of thought that Liana and I have studied with is like, to be a balanced human, you're always working to balance 4 quadrants, which is love, time, health, and money. And that those are the 4 things that humans innately feel we're always in lack of in one of those issues.
And that's what causes suffering. People always feel like they're disconnected from in one of those, or they're lacking in one of those.
Right. So all of a sudden I feel like I got everything kind of like balanced out through my hermitude, and then was like, the love, let's like really go in on the love. And like I mentioned last time, I started working with a therapist, I started healing abuse trauma from college that I hadn't dealt with since I was 19 years old. And so then just letting that sit for a while, and like having the cries when you need to cry, and like really, really embracing independence and solitude and being alone, and filling up the hole instead of looking to fill things up. I don't know how to say that. Fill things in it, just like know how to just fill it up myself. And then I got tested, and then I had like an old flame pop up, and like this is one of those flames.
Before we go into that, you want to explain a little bit what a test is? Because at first I was like, COVID test? Oh, right. That's like how our society goes.
Right, we hear test and we think COVID. Actually, I would like you to explain that, because
sure.
You're really good at this.
So basically, we had both, like, this is something that I have been aware of. I think we both have been aware of, but a friend of mine turned us on to Lacey Phillips, and she has this specific lingo around it, which I really like, so we also use. And the idea of a test is when you have goals, when you are trying to expand, when you're trying to grow and move forward, and, you know, develop your self-worth a little bit more, and attain a goal essentially. What happens is the universe, God, whatever you think, however you want to look at it, tends to throw tests at you to sort of make sure, are you worthy, and do you really feel worthy of this next thing that you're calling in, or is there more growth and development you need to do in your subconscious? And her whole idea, and I've actually read a lot of neuroscience behind this as well, is that we tend to our life, what we call in, how successful we are, always is in alignment with what subconsciously we believe we deserve. So whenever you're trying to expand, whenever you're trying to up level, whenever you're trying to attain a next goal, often that comes with maybe some subconscious reprogramming that you need to do. And sometimes it's easy and you don't realize you're doing it, because all of a sudden maybe you move and you have these other friends and everyone's more successful than your old friends. And then it's easy for you to believe that, a woman your age or a man your age could be successful in this business because you have these new friends that do it, stuff like that, where you can also consciously be doing the work. So, Allie and I are consciously doing this work. So what you start to notice when you pay attention, when you are trying to move past and trying to evolve forward, and Allie, love is something that with you especially we've been talking about a lot in the past year or so in terms of like what you really want to call in, the perfect kind of partner. And we got really clear that though your last partner was amazing, he just wasn't a good fit for where you were. So that has really come up since your breakup. So you had gotten really clear about what you want, and then here we go with the tests.
Okay. And then Liana has also had some tests as well. So we've been going through this together, which is so weird. We're always like having the weirdest parallel life experiences. So
yeah, mine have been like a little bit romantic. Well, I think I might be failing one soon, but
no, you're not. No.
But I feel like professionally I'm getting tested.
This is the thing. Let's discuss tests. So because you're not failing one. No. But I almost failed one. But so like this man pops up, and he's one of those men that I've loved my entire life. We had an entire year of a long distance, sexy, romantic, like whatever you want to call it, like flying to Miami for Drake concerts and staying at the Lafayette Hotel. Like, oh my God, like so great. And then I realized like, oh, we are calling each other in because we want this energy, but we are not willing to open our hearts. And that's the first time I was like, oh, my heart is not open to receiving love. Like I am asking, I am begging the universe. I'm crying in my shower with prayer candles, like on a full moon with crystals. But like until you get really aware of what you really want in the back of your head and your subconscious brain and what you really believe, you're not going to get it. So like I finally aligned like, oh, I don't want a relationship. Oh, I don't want like a committed thing because I don't trust it, because I'm terrified. And then that led me down the path of why. Oh, because I was abused to the person that I really trusted when I was so young. So anytime I trust a man with like powerful masculine energy, I feel like he's going to take away my power. So I had to heal that. So I've just now started to heal that. He pops up, old fling. And it's the same thing. It's that like, I really want you, but I'm definitely not available. But like, I'm here and you're my best friend. And like, I'm so funny, but like, I'm not here for you. So, he started doing the same thing and the Pandora's box got open. I called Liana and I'm like, it's happening again. And she's like, do we think this is a test? And I was like, we think it's a test. We think it's a test. Like, but with a test, once you know it's a test, you can receive it and be like, thank you for this beautiful compliment that you still find me to be an enjoyable human to interact with. I think you are as well. Namaste. Like,
peace.
Boundaries, people. Boundaries. What are they? For me, I would never go on a formal date with this person and spend the night with this person. Would I like have a great casual coffee, lunch in a large group? Of course. But like get clear about what your boundaries are, get them in your head, and then move on.
And the thing about tests before you move forward is that it doesn't matter whether you pass or fail them, because if you fail them, there was a lesson in that, in failing it that you needed to learn. And so great, you're going to learn the lesson. And often we are presented with the same lesson over and over and over and over again until we learn it, which once you become more aware of it, becomes very frustrating. But again, it takes however long it takes. And then the cool thing about passing them is that, and again, to use Lacey's term, it makes you a little bit more magnetic, or it makes it easier for you to attract the thing that you want most. So here, Allie has done all this work. She's like left a relationship that didn't work for her, that was out of alignment. She was like, you know what? I deserve more than this. She let it go beautifully. She spent some time doing a lot of work on herself, physically, mentally, emotionally. The test pops up. She passes it with flying colors. And then...
and then... I don't know.
I mean, I think you're in a really beautiful situation, and I think you should share about it.
Okay.
We don't know where it's going to end up.
I'm actually really shy, but I know it's really confusing. Yeah, so then this person who is my neighbor when I was born in Dallas, Texas, and was my neighbor for the first 6 years of my life. And then we went to camp together until we were like 12 or so. He's a little bit older than me. His little sister is my best friend, and then his little brother is my brother's best friend. So we're just like this family. And I hadn't seen him since I was 12, and he now lives in Los Angeles, and well, he lives in Malibu, and he's been wanting to reconnect for a really long time, and I just was never in that space and in my own journey. And some reason, like with me having this weird portal of like leaving LA and starting this new thing in Dallas, and he's revived this incredible arts district in Dallas, so he's like created this community where I'm going to work and continue to grow the arts that he started. And then he's helping me leave LA in a way where I can like appreciate it and feel it and not feel like I'm leaving without love and connection. And it's pretty magic. So like no matter where that goes, it's just this, it feels really good. There's none of the, Liana and I've coined a word, a quote, like a phrase of clingy, like the grippy. Like, you know, when you're getting the grippy, that you got to check yourself. You got to take a step back. Like there's something in you that's like needing to feel something from this person.
Well, it's coming from lack. Anytime you're trying to hold on to something really hard, it's because you feel like there's some lack there and you need it to be whole.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with relationships, like we talked in the other video, like you need to show up whole. So you need to be able to just sort of, again, open fist idea
And
with someone. You have to hold them gently.
You're not in this like ideal cocoon of what wholeness looks like in your head. Even if you're showing up, that's where the connection takes place. Because this person is showing up and he's not in the best place to like embrace maybe like the next chapter of love. He's like healing from a divorce, and like he's going through his own thing. So he's taking this year to heal and be an artist, and he like retired for a year just to be in nature. So maybe on paper he doesn't look whole, but what he's doing is doing yoga, acupuncture, meditating, writing, making music to continue to practice the connection to his own instrument, his own intuition. So, and then I'm leaving, so I might not look like we're both in these huge transformational spaces. So I want to get clear that like wholeness doesn't mean life is perfect and easy and like ideal. You can still be kind of a mess going through the waves of life, but when you're connected, you're whole.
Because and the cool thing is like
about needing something from each other.
Right. Sorry to interrupt. No, I was just gonna reflect back that the cool thing about this situation is, though you feel ready to, you know, you have felt ready to sort of have a deeper, a better connection with someone. Mm-hmm. Obviously you're about to move, so getting into a serious relationship with someone wherever it is feels maybe not like the right time. But for what type of connection you've been trying to call in, he's like everything you've been looking for. Mm-hmm. So again, like it doesn't have to be beautiful in a specific box, but the type of person that you like, the growth you want, the connection you want, the conversations you want to have, the experiences you want to have, this person is showing up, giving them to you tenfold. So I just think it's really interesting and exciting that when you were saying no to the thing, you finally got to the point, because we knew the last relationship you had, you know, there were moments where you were really ready to step outside of it and end it, because it just, though you love this person so deeply, it just wasn't in alignment with what you wanted for yourself in your life. But you had to grow in your self-worth a little bit more to actually step outside of it and say no to it, say no to the test, work on yourself. So then who shows up is the exact type of guy. And right. The cool thing about it too is like, you're totally head over heels. I'm going to call you out, and it's the cutest. But the thing is,
on the internet,
the thing is you have not lost your head. You know, you're like, I don't know, I'm moving. We have a great connection. He's got some healing to do. I have a lot of work to do. This is a beautiful person that's in my life in some capacity, and I am not attached to what that looks like.
Yeah.
And that to me is huge. That is such great growth. And I feel like that is going to either lead to exactly what you want with this person, or it's going to teach you the lessons you need to learn in this moment, and you guys are going to beautifully part ways. And then the next it's going to prep you for that, you know, next relationship that you do really want to be committed to.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm about to turn the table so hard on you, but real quick, it's like comes back down to one of mine and Liana's life mottos, which is leave everything more beautiful than you found it. Don't go through an experience with so much like pressure and expectation, because then the magic is gone. Just like go through something, if it is that wildly beautiful and exciting, like take it in, soak it up like a sponge, and let it move through you so that strangers can feel that, so that the people you're interacting can feel that, your work gets to feel that, because it's just a gift. It's just a gift from the universe. So it's just like be grateful and unattached and like clear about what you're loving, and continue to visualize that and expand that and believe that and embody that, because now I can be saying to myself, okay, if it's not this, it's this or something better. And that's something you've taught me. It's like, it's,
Right.
and if it's not this, then we're going to leave really having a positive imprint, not anyone being like, ah. But this
Well,
is
and I
the
think
first time I've fallen in love without losing my fucking head. So it's good.
I just think it's really great because it shows that like finally you're at this place of wholeness where
Mm-hmm.
it's like I can love someone unattached because I am full and I know exactly what I'm happy, I'm full, I'm content on my own. So you can either add to my life, or if you're not going to add to my life and it's not going to make sense, then we'll go in our separate ways. But like I'm not clinging to you. I don't need you to make me happy. I don't need you to love me back. I don't need, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
this is just a really beautiful example of you like coming into your own wholeness. So
Yeah.
I want to reflect
And
that back.
balancing, like one of my mantras that I've had since Leon and I worked with this woman, Kathleen, was I am balanced on high vibrations. I think it's really easy when you get on those high vibrations, especially if you're a 7 on the Enneagram. So if anyone's a 7, hit me up, we'll talk about it. But like we ride the highs. Like we are in a constant search for this like magical experience, this high, this ride, this like, that's like what a 7 does. So then when you don't have that, like you're on the lull between the hangs, instead of like crashing down, like just staying balanced. And it's hard work, I'm not gonna lie. It's like I'm working hard right now, but it's good. Okay, so where are you at with, what would you say, I'm gonna just do a little turn of the table on you. So you've also gone through this moment of time where you went from like super busy, hustling entrepreneur, like hands in so many things, moving across the country, going through a divorce, getting your own apartment, like so many things, to like going through this deep healing work. You're working with 3 different people, you're living in a magical forest, you're eating pristinely, you've had an ex flare up that we still love and appreciate, you're going into this new experience, you're processing a divorce. What are you thinking? What are you going through? What's your perspective?
Well, it's funny. I was kind of writing about this the other day that like, we don't always know what's best for us. Would I have ever, if COVID hadn't happened, been like, wow, Liana, you 14 years hustling in New York, like acting, auditioning, starting your own company, getting sick with an autoimmune disease, healing that, going back to school, moving, getting divorced, like that's a lot, especially like on someone like me who's delicate, a little bit physically delicate. What I probably needed more than anything was like a really good 6-month pause in nature, really taking care of myself, really, going to get massages and body work and, dealing with therapists and trauma. And, because I think it's very easy, especially in this culture, there's no emphasis put on any of that stuff. It's like, go, 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 move on to the next relationship quickly, don't get the next job, just whatever, keep it moving. And as someone who is as sensitive as I am, who I'm learning more and more has such a hard time letting go of things, that, for years I had all of this pent up emotional stuff due to my marriage, due to my career stuff, due to my health, just sort of hanging out in my body, hanging out in my psyche. So this gift of, I thought I was going to come for a month in the summer because Maine's really beautiful in the summer. And I think it's going to turn into closer to 6 months of being really quiet and doing a lot of work on myself. Like, holy shit. I just like did not expect, like I was working with my body work guy the other day and he was like, sometimes I'm working with you and you're your age, and other times it's like you're a 10-year-old little girl. And he's like, and I don't know, and he's kind of special on magic, and it's funny how we talk to each other. And he was like, and I don't know what that means to you or if it means anything to you. I just thought I'd share it because it keeps coming up for me. And he's like, and whatever you're doing, there is some deep healing going on.
Yeah.
And there's just some stuff around my parents that I didn't realize was still, I think, you know, it's hard not to, everyone's got stuff with their parents. And I have a great relationship with my parents. I love them. And there had just been a couple moments where like stuff about like I had an eating disorder in college and a few years after college where I was going through stuff from college and a lot of emotional stuff, just having perspective on who I was then and just like feeling heartbroken for that girl, but also seeing seeing through the lenses of an adult woman who is healed and seeing how tragic it was that I thought I was so gross and horrible and all these things. It was like this emotionally really out of nowhere cathartic experience that I ended up sharing with my dad, where he's like holding me and I'm crying, and we just didn't have that. That was like something I longed for as a child that we never had in our relationship. So it was like, whoa, not only am I healing like the remainder of this wound of this girl that like hated herself, which I didn't even realize was in my body. Also, this even younger girl that just wanted her dad's attention and hugs. And it was like, that was just a Thursday. I feel like I'm having these moments when you give yourself space and you really sit with it. I'm meditating a lot. I'm journaling a lot. I'm being quiet a lot. I'm walking around. I'm like in my body a lot more. Like, I just feel like, holy cow, this has just been a gift. And I've been wanting the chance to expand and grow. And, you know, I'm someone who historically had a lot of fear and anxiety, especially about like sharing my voice and putting myself out there and feeling worthy or feeling like anyone cared or like that I knew what I was talking about. There were like years of that, especially in the beginning of my business, that like I feel like I'm finally breaking through like the glass ceilings that I created myself. And it's exhausting and sometimes physically and emotionally taxing on my body. And it's just been humbling because here I am working with people through this stuff. And the crazy thing is like, I wouldn't be experiencing this and you wouldn't be experiencing what you're experiencing. I'm getting this experience so I can grow as a coach. I can grow as a guide. I can hold space for these bigger emotions and these bigger evolutions in other people, these bigger transformations. So like, it sucks and it like is hard and it's humbling and I feel frustrated and I'm crying a lot. But at the same time, it's like whenever I'm in these phases, which is not very often, it's like, oh, right, this is growth. And as a child, I don't know about you, but I had growing pains. Like, did you have those where like your legs would hurt when you were getting taller? I would have physical pains in my mom would have to like rub my legs because I would be like, my legs hurt because, you know, whatever. I'm not even that tall. Like, I don't even know. Or I didn't have a weird growth spurt, but I remember years where I would have them. And it's such a beautiful memory because I'm like, oh, right, growing pains. These are just growing pains. And the bigger they are sometimes, the bigger the lesson, and then the bigger the gifts that come in afterwards. Yeah. So it's like amazing just to be saying this out loud to you because it's like reminding me of this because it's easy also to want to get into the victim mentality of it where it's like, why is this happening? Poor me. Like, I'm divorced and I'm living with my parents. Everything feels shitty. Where it's like, oh my God, you could look at it this way. Or like, when I step back, it's like, I've been given an amazing gift to reconnect with my parents, to heal things I didn't know I needed healing, to really nurse a broken heart from a divorce, and to expand my voice and my business into the world and really get clear about what I want to create and the impact I want to have and how I want to help other people. Who gets to take a life sabbatical like that? Holy shit. I'm swearing a lot. Sorry.
I like it. Taylor Swift did in her documentary too, and she said holy shit a lot, and I was like, yeah, I like it.
I mean, it's just sort of who I am. I was in comedy for a long time, and I was a bartender.
Oh, no, that's who we are. Love Club is, we drink tequila, and we say curse words sometimes. Like, it's okay.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot. I feel like you and I call each other once a week, and someone is having some sort of like crisis or malfunction or just epiphany.
It's like next level shit happening around here.
But again, I think it's all like the amount. And for me, like the test thing too, I was thinking about this before we were talking about it, like we gave a really good example of one with love, but like earlier before I left to come back here, remember I raised my prices. I was working with a business coach. I raised my prices and I had an old client come back and ask how much I specifically was like, I'm thinking of working with you again. How much do you cost? And then I had to like, ooh, be like, oh, this is what I cost now. And it felt like a little like weird to say. And then she wrote back, wow, you know, that's more. Why do you think you cost that much? And I was like, well, if this isn't a test, then I don't know what is. And I had to write that woman back and be like, well, this is why. And it really made me sort of have to stand in my power and be like, no, I actually deserve this money, yada, yada, yada. And so it's just really interesting how this stuff comes around.
Let's focus on that for a second too, because you and I we talked about this yesterday, for you and I both. Like, tests pop up in your self-worth a lot. Like, a lot. Even when you think you've made it past a certain level and you've up-leveled into your value and into your professionalism and into your career, you're going to still get tested all of the time. Like, I just got a job as a creative director consultant. And that is like my dream job that I didn't even know was my dream job until recently. And I was like, this is so great. So we settled on this amount, like a retainer for a month, for the next 3 months, just as I'm in transition. We're figuring out how to work together, la, la, la. And then I wake up yesterday and I'm just like, this is a test that I am doing this much work at this level for this amount of money. It doesn't feel good. I've been like talking myself out of doing something about it for a week. And here I am 7 days later. Also, just when tests come up, do take 3 days to sleep on it and think about it and let those highs and lows work through your system. I recommend 3 nights of sleep until you make decisions, because like we really don't know where you're at in terms of, especially if you're like menstruating or the moon cycles or whatever. Like, you just as a person need to like go through it. So anyways, 7 days later, I'm like, I feel terrible. I'm starting to get like upset a little bit. So then all I did, and I think in the past I would have had to like do 3 weeks of coaching, 7 hours on the phone with someone, like journaling, probably not doing it for another 2 months. But instead I was like, okay, cool. Let's write an email to the vice president and just say, hello, let's set up a call. When? And now we have a call in an hour, and I'm just going to be like, hello, my value is not being reached, and like I have a lot to do, and I'm excited to do this stuff, so like let's level it up. And it doesn't feel scary. It's not even scary.
I want to point something out to you, because a year ago you sort of made a very big professional leap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you're getting a similar test like a year later in a different way. And how different did you handle it?
Exactly a year later, so differently. I mean, it took me throwing up sick as shit the whole month of December. So I started in August of last year.
Because you were overworked. She was working. She never had days off. It was crazy.
I never had days off. I was working like an insane person, throwing the biggest events in the United States for an entire year, like almost every day. So it was like crazy. But then around Christmas, I was vomiting all the time. I had blood coming out of like anything that could bleed was bleeding. Like I was a disaster. And Liana had just moved from New York to LA. She was staying with me. And I just had a total catastrophic emotional breakdown that we worked through. And maybe we'll talk in the future about like friendships and just, wow, because we have a really awesome friendship, and I would love to teach people on.
We'll write a book on it.
We'll write a book on just how to be best friends. Anyways, but so like I couldn't communicate. The reason I was getting so sick was I couldn't go to my boss, my direct boss, who I lived in a hole with and like lived with. I couldn't go and say, I don't feel like I'm getting taken care of. I haven't had a lunch break since I started working here. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is. And I'm in heels 24/7. So finally one day I just had a breakdown. Like I had to fly back home early from Christmas for a huge person's birthday. And I was excited, but I was like, it was terrible. So I go out behind the hotel and I just start projectile vomiting on the street. And HR walks up. And she walks up to me and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, I'm so sick. I've been throwing up every day, but I haven't thrown up the last 4 days. But then I just got back to work and I'm vomiting again. She was like, come to my office. So I sit in the office and she signs an NDA. I like make her sign a non-disclosure agreement. And I'm like, I need to get some stuff off my chest. I don't feel like I am having a healthy work environment. And I mean, to an extreme level. And I really love what I do, so I just want to like check ourselves. So she sends me straight to a doctor. The doctor runs pregnancy tests, like all kinds of food, like all kinds of tests, like scans, everything comes back. She's like, you're really stressed, and I'm writing you a doctor's note so that you have to take a lunch break every day for an entire hour. And I was like, my boss isn't going to be okay with this. So I had to get a doctor's note to take the
But
lunch break.
and it was interesting because you were so much of around this job. It was such a up level for you to take this job, and it was an amazing job that taught you a lot of things. But it was like even getting it was an expansion of like your self worth and you as a professional, and you got paid very handsomely. And it was very good on that. But it's interesting and beautiful to see just in 1 year what you will stand for, and you've expanded this point where it's like, okay, I'm immediately not feeling heard, or I'm immediately feeling like misalignment here with the compensation to the amount of work, and this is something that's has been a pattern in your life. And a week into realizing it, you're like, okay, I'm doing something.
Take care of it. And that's what I learned is like, because then after Christmas things improved. Like the season got even busier, but I felt better because I realized it was time for me to step up, to grow up, and communicate what I needed to feel balanced. So then now when you move forward in business, you're like, just start it from the beginning. Just communicate, and it's really positive. And if that person can't understand, then you don't need to be working with them.
Absolutely. So let's shift a little bit. And we've talked a little bit about this, but tools. Let's end this with things that you're doing and things that I'm doing that are your cornerstone things to do during times like this, when things are sort of falling apart, or you feel disconnected, or you're feeling like stress, or you're going through a transition. What are things that you lean on the most? What are your top 3 or top 2 or number 1 things that you feel like get you out of that headspace of like panicking, freaking out, stressed out, feeling like lost in your emotions around it, that can get you sort of grounded, connected to yourself, and like moving forward again?
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I would say, top 3, I think meditation is always going to be at the top of my list, because I spend a lot of time living in my head. I sort of trained myself to be up there when really I'm someone who all of my wisdom is in my body. So what I can get into a bad habit of going into anxiety, going into repetitive thoughts around victimhood and when I notice that stuff start to happen, it's like I have to get back in my body. So meditation is really helpful, like deep breathing meditation, just paying attention to my breath, thinking about getting in sync with my heart, sort of like a heart opening meditation is really good. Yoga. A lot of times when I'm really, really in my head, it's like, how do I get back in my body? So move my body. This summer, it's been like riding my bike, going swimming, doing yoga, like something to shift. Because again, when you move, especially in ways that bring you joy, it's going to shift your perspective, and it's going to make you see the world differently. So whenever I feel like I'm in this place where I'm really stuck in negative feedback loops, or I'm really stuck and I'm noticing I'm stuck and I'm really frustrated, it's like, can I breathe different? Can I move different? And often when you move different, you have to breathe different. So it's like, if you don't like to meditate and you can't sit still, exercise will force a different type of breathing, a deeper connection to your body. And then it's, connecting with people who help bring you back to center. And, for me, that's definitely, you're on the top of that list. I have a couple of other friends, and knowing that like, that's not everyone, and being really clear about the people, because some people will just gaslight you. Some people will if they're not happy with themselves, it's like, they'll live in the victim. No, of course, your life is so horrible. I can't believe that. They'll let you live in that area. Or it's like the toxic positivity or whatever. It's like, suck it up. It's not a big deal. Like, change your thoughts. Da 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 da. So like, you need to have a connection with someone who genuinely just knows how to hold space, like can listen, open, empathetically, and then often communicating. Like when you and I communicate, sometimes it's like, I'm coming to you as a friend, and other times it's like, I need some coaching and some guidance.
Right.
And get really clear about that, because we're friends, and then we also have this other side of ourselves. And we had to learn that, I think, once or twice the hard way, where it was like, no, I'm showing up as a friend right now, I don't want advice. Because sometimes you just need someone to listen. So for me, my 3 are sort of when I notice I'm getting really stuck in my head, it's meditation, exercise, and connection to get back into sort of my body and into connected to my heart space.
Meditation, exercise, and connection. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, yeah. Beautifully said, dear friend. Yeah,
Oh, well,
I would
thank
say
you.
I would say everything changed for me when I learned how to meditate because
Yeah.
like you said, something I wrote down that you just said was all of our wisdom is in our bodies. I think that was the first time, and this is probably in acting school when I first learned how to meditate. It's kind of sad. Like I was like 22 maybe.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
same. I don't think I was meditating before
which is
that
amazing.
age. I think I was around 22 too.
I think that's when it kind of became more, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I think meditation, it's something that I do every single day. I cannot get out of bed or check my text messages until I've done it. Because I know that there are those days that I get out of bed and like brush my teeth and then I just get sidetracked and I hadn't done it. So um even if it's for 10 minutes and even if you just set your alarm for 10 minutes and like listen and just listen to your thoughts and just observe your thoughts and learn how to disassociate and observe instead of be in them. But I have said this a billion times in Love Club, but like I do use an app. I have since quarantine. I don't know why, but I use Unplug, and I like go through various different forums and teachers and times and links. But anyways, meditation connected me to my inner world. And by connecting to my inner world, I realized the infinite abundance within. And then I stopped looking outside from then on out. So that's huge. So anytime I'm feeling like I'm in a big chaotic whirlwind, I just get still and I plug in and everything's fine. And I listen and the wisdom's all there and then I know everything's fine. Music. Music is huge, huge for me when I'm in times of great change. I put in my headphones and I go on walks or I like move around the house and I just get really introverted and I just connect to music that allows me to process certain vibrations and feelings and emotions that I can feel and move and cry and sing to. And I think like getting your voice, it's same as exercise. Yoga is the biggest, most important thing in the world to me besides like you. And then I would say connection, but it's like you can have really great friends, but knowing that that's not who you're going to seek counsel in to balance yourself. Like maybe that's a friend that you go to have a good laugh and like a great dinner, or like that's a friend you go to like, I don't know, like whatever. But like I only have maybe 2 people in my life that I would call, and that's you and maybe one other person, where I'm like, I'm in a shit show. I need your guidance. I need you to like hold space for me to get me back to myself. And I thank God for that every day. And I do think it needs, I have a friend because yes, like having a professional, like I have a doctor, I have a therapist, but I have you. So it's like there's a difference in being able to call a really close friend than like a professional. And I think that's very important. And we all have that. And we all have that as people.
And the nice thing about what both of us are saying is like, it's all free. The stuff is free. It's just creating habits that, you know what I mean? Like you don't need it. We live in a culture where it's like, I mean, yes, you can buy an app and apps are great. There's also free meditation apps, but like connection, movement, you know, breathing, all of that is free. And you don't need to like spend money and you don't need to go outside of yourself for a lot of stuff. Like cultivating these tools and understanding how your mind works, like what you start to realize is less and less and less of what you need is outside of yourself. And the more you can cultivate wholeness and happiness and balance within you, the more your world outside reflects it. But like the easier it is to navigate the planet, and then the less need to complicate your life with bullshit. You know, it's easy to simplify, and then you know, then it's easier to be present. You know, if you're not doing a million things and you have a million things on your plate all the time, it's easy to be in the moment. And in the moment's all we ever have. That's where happiness is. That's where we actually exist.
Life is.
That is where life is. It's right here, right now. So the more you can sort of understand that and cultivate these tools within yourself, the less you need and the less you're clinging to and you need from outside sources. And it's so empowering because then you can navigate your life in these ways that feel really good without feeling like, for me before that I like needed to have this husband to take care of me and needed to like I would die without another person doing like, which is so crazy to think of, but like, we form these ideas as children and then we hold on to them for the rest of our lives. So uncovering that stuff for you and realizing, you have that strength within yourself, life is just so much easier. I mean, it's never easy, but it's easier to navigate.
I would use the word effortless. I mean, like, no, I'm sorry, harmonious. Like, I feel like it feels more orchestrated and it feels like in tune. Like, even on a low note, you're like, it's beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to share one thing before we wrap it up. But when I was studying, getting like my wellness coaching certification with this man, Dr. Kruger, he taught us this study called the yellow Jeep theory. And it's about how much your external reality reflects your internal thoughts and belief systems. So he was like, it's the example of a yellow Jeep. You start thinking about a yellow Jeep, you're going to start seeing them everywhere. So then I've started just to like bring that back. I saw a yellow Jeep the other day. I saw 9 in the last 3 days. It's just, and it's what, like 9 yellow Jeeps in 3 days? That's weird. But it's just a test. It's like a barometer of like, so if I can see another yellow Jeep down Melrose, you're telling me that if I don't continue to believe that my friend Leon and I have something to do and something to give and like people want it too, like then you just keep believing that and you'll see it keep showing up. And I just want to share that in case anyone wants to start their own yellow Jeep barometer.
I love it. I mean, and that just goes back to the idea of the life is how you perceive it. So if you want to look for goodness in the world and you want to go out into the world and have every experience with the mindset like this is for me, this is my teacher, this is for me, it will look like that life is beautiful. And
well, and it teaches you like
life. And the other side of it, it's like life is against me, everything's shitty, life is so hard. You will see evidence of that. It's however you want to show up and look at it. So why not say like yes to the beauty and yes to the yellow Jeep?
Also, if this is something that your heart wants, it's something you truly want from a connected, purely intentional place, then it exists. It's like a yellow Jeep. If like that is so random. A yellow Jeep is such a random car. And if that starts showing up everywhere because you start thinking about it showing up, then why can't your person who's whole and connected that loves you unconditionally show up? Why can't your business partner show up? Why can't your dreams realize themselves? They can't. So this is just like a little fun test that I wanted to throw out there to the club.
Oh, and Lacy Phillips' podcast is called Expanded, if you're interested in her work. And that's a great way. She's also got a website, but that's a great way to sort of, if, any of this speaks to you, there are a lot of workshops that you can buy where you can do some like reprogramming work. It's very interesting if you like that kind of thing. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that since we talked about it. But thank you, Allie. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for being my best friend and partner and for doing this work with me. And I'm really grateful.
I love you. And I love all of the rest of you. Thank you for watching.
I love you, world. I love you, everyone on YouTube today. Okay, I love you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And you can always reach us at love_club_LA. Bye, guys.